There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonko table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonko table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, folks, welcome to the latest and the greatest from the Yonko table. That is the voice of Grandmaster Hoop coming at you from, oh goodness, I don't know, the boat or the raft that we should have never picked up Galadriel on because we should have left that fucker drifting. Because we're here to talk about Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. That's right, the hit Amazon series based on the Lord of the Rings trilogy comes to its season 1 finale. And goodness gracious, what a finale. We got some big time reveals, some great setup for season 2. And overall, I think we have a hit on our hands. With me, as always, is Dr. Jace Attorney. Dr. Jace Attorney, do you feel Rings of Power has done the thing? Are you invested in a season 2? Was this the fantasy series for you this fall?
I won't say it was better. Well, I mean, because you said if it was the fantasy series for me, I think House of Dragon kind of. I'm really liking House of Dragon, especially in its later half. But in terms of how I've enjoyed Rings of Power overall, I'm gonna put my my ego hat on for Rings of Power because, as I called it from episode, was it 3? I don't know. I called it.
Was it 3?
Early. I called it early. Our boy Halbrand is Sauron.
Ooh, boy.
You are Sauron, right? You are Sauron. Oh man, I'm gonna wear that from the rest of this episode up until whenever we get season 2. I'm gonna keep bringing it up because I'm excited. I don't know if it's good storytelling or not, because I don't know, maybe the original version of Halbrand, not Halbrand, Sauron's reveal was maybe better in the original source material. I don't know, but I feel good. I feel good that I was able to put the little nuggets and pieces together again to get this conclusion. But overall, I think Rings of Power is good. I think overall it's good. There were some plot threads that we talked about before that I was not a fan of and still am not a fan of. But I think overall, I think you can enjoy this. There is another side to this when it comes to criticizing the show that I think is a fair point, and it comes to just what was changed from the original lore, and then we'll get into it as we go along. But I think for me, not knowing enough about the lore and the mythos, I was okay with this. It didn't, bother me in any way. I didn't see something and was like, oh my God, this is just terrible. What is this? But I think for a season 1, I think overall it was good. And then I'll give my score. And I guess we'll both give our scores at the end of it. But yeah. Good season 1 for me, at least for me.
No, I would agree. I think it does a great job at reintroducing the world of Middle Earth. We're playing with a couple of established characters in the mythos, and then we're also getting origins for established characters. And then they've built a mystery around it as well. So I think they did a good job. Yes, are some threads weaker? For sure. But overall, I think this was a well-invested venture by Amazon. I think they were right to make Lord of the Rings the series. Again, surprisingly, it took this long. But I mean, we are in the series day and age where it's like, if there is a great film, who needs a sequel? Let's make it a series. Let's build upon the lore. Let's spend time with more characters versus a shortened runtime, and yeah, we get the chance to really flesh out what's going on here. But yeah, we'll save our scores for the end. I mean, I honestly feel there's no better place to start it. I mean, you already said it. I think let's just start from here. Hallbrand. Hallbrand.
You are Sauron, right?
Well, actually, let's just talk about the big reveals, because they kind of did a bait and switch in the beginning. So
in the beginning, go ahead.
Well, Hallbrand is indeed Sauron. However, the beginning of the episode definitely does a red herring on you.
I knew it was a red herring from the beginning.
It felt like it really felt like a red herring.
It was so on the nose. I'm like, I don't believe that at all. But go ahead. It was.
Well, the stranger is confronted by the three other magic.
The three wise men.
Well, they're women, I guess.
They're all women.
They're all women. I'm pretty sure.
Honestly, wow.
I think one is one of them, Discount Eminem, I believe, is a trans actor. So we don't get to see many trans actors on screen.
Oh wow, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I believe they're all women.
Wow.
Either way, they confront the stranger and they say, "We are here to serve you, Lord Sauron."
You are
and
Sauron,
it's like,
right?
Whoa. You're all Sauron, aren't you?
Another instant of mistaken identity.
But this one, I mean, I guess they had some context. They truly believed he was the Sauron. I guess it said he would come from the sky at one point.
Yeah. Was that what they said in the episode? Because I was trying to figure out like why did they think this was Sauron, and I assumed it was he's the giant thing that fell from the sky. But is that why they thought it was Sauron? Or
I think so. That's
I feel
what
like the show
I
didn't
took
really
from
explain it. I feel like it didn't really elaborate on why they assumed this guy was Sauron.
Well, he had the map of the stars, and like the stars were, I don't know, some kind of indicator that he could be him. But they also just know, as a powerful individual, they knew he was powerful, and I guess I don't really know much of the lore. I don't want to look it up. I think they had grounds to believe that he was Sauron. I think Sauron works in, he's not a wizard, but he works in magic, dark or evil magic. He still works in magic. Yeah, they didn't really explain it. However, continuing the episode, they do make him, the stranger, remember kind of everything, as far as now he can speak full sentences.
I don't know how I like this.
No, you don't like it?
I don't know if it's that I don't like it. It's just, because that switch where all of a sudden beforehand he was like good peril. It was kind of all right. He was just, I guess, born in a way. He has no idea how to speak coherently. But then when he's confronted by the three moth people, whoever they are, I mean, they disintegrate into moths later on. But
actually, more on the moths. Don't bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah, more on the moths. Yeah.
So when he like basically incinerates them, he's like, "Wait, you're not Sauron? Who are you?" And he's like, "I am good." And I'm like, "Ew." and then he does the AoE blast attack and eviscerates them. But then all of a sudden he's very eloquent. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's fine, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like they kind of rushed the like, okay, we're not gonna have him be like a bumbling fool the entire runtime that he's on. We have to get him to where we want him. He has to be the wise speaking character that we find out later on who he is. But I felt like that was a little rushed. I don't know. It was definitely weird. It was definitely weird.
I can see how there was progression in him learning from Nori and becoming good versus all he needed was a clock on the head, and now
Right.
he's awake. And now he can speak. Now he knows he's good. But they said an interesting line. They said he's not Sauron. He must be the other. And then they drop Ishtari or Ishtar,
Right.
which we already did our research, and we know what Ishtari is.
Right.
And the Ishtari are wizards. So now it's confirmed the stranger is definitely a wizard, which we also called. We
did.
that.
We did.
I mean, I feel that one was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think early on there was like an assumption like, oh, this must be Sauron because look how crazy he is. He fell from the sky and he's like magic. But I think after the first episode, I think we came to the conclusion like, nah, no, this is not Sauron. This is like a wizard. And we did call it early on. This has to be one of the Ishtar. The theories then came, well, which Ishtar is it? Is he a blue wizard? Is he Saruman, God forbid? Or is he one of the more famous wizards that we all know and love, Gandalf? But this episode confirms at the very least, all right, he's a wizard. Now the rest of the episode is like, well, which one is he? We gotta find out.
I think they give you some clues to who
They
he
gave you
is.
some very on the nose clues.
On the nose.
Oh my god! Oh,
Oh.
look at that! Wow.
Well, so the first clue when you said the moths,
okay, yeah. What was that about?
Well, if you look back in the Fellowship of the Ring,
Okay.
a moth lands on Gandalf when he's sitting on the top of the Tower of Isengard, and he whispers to the moth to go get the eagles.
Oh, okay.
We also see the moth again in that last battle outside the Black Gates in the Return of the King, where a moth flies by and Gandalf again like closes his eyes and then the eagles appear. So I'm starting to think a moth is a symbol of Gandalf.
Okay.
Clue number one.
Clue number one.
Clue number two comes at the end of the episode with the nose. Now, let me ask, did you catch that quote when you first initially watched?
When I first initially watched, the way it was delivered, I was like, one, they seem to be emphasizing this line because it was one of the last lines he said before.
Yes, it was like the last line of the episode.
Was it
like,
the last line? Oh, okay.
I think it was the last spoken dialogue, and then they show the forming of the three rings, which had no spoken dialogue.
Okay, so the way it was delivered, in my head, it triggered, okay, this has to be important. And then I listened to it, and I was like, is that a line that he says, Gandalf? I did not automatically assume when I heard it, like, oh my God, that's Gandalf. Oh, it has to be. I thought, like, wait, the line was important because they ended with it. And then because he's an Ishtar, I'm like, is that something that Gandalf says? And it sounded like familiar, like it sounded something dumb, like in my head that I was saying, like, is that something that he tells Frodo one point or Bilbo or something? So I looked it up afterwards and I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it is. That's Gandalf. He said that. As to what context he said it in, I don't know. I don't even think he was talking to Bilbo or Frodo, was he?
It was in the Mines of Moria. He's talking to Mary. He's talking to Mary.
Mary.
Because Gandalf. Gandalf was talking to Frodo, and then he's talking to Frodo about why you should pity Gollum, and whatnot. And then he's like, "Oh, it's that way." And then Mary goes, "He remembers." And then Gandalf's like, "No, there's a fresh, cool breeze coming from this way." And he's like, when in doubt, young Meriadoc, always follow your nose.
Is that the only time he says that?
That's the one time he says it.
When I heard the
I mean,
line,
to my knowledge, that is the one time he says it.
For some reason, when I heard the line in the episode, I thought it was just like one of those dumb quotes that Gandalf says all the time to the hobbits, like, follow your nose, Bilbo. And then Pippin comes in and says, my nose tells me it's second breakfast, or just something dumb like involving food. I don't know. Did I know that this was a Gandalf line? No, but immediately when I heard it, I'm like, is it something that Gandalf says? Because that sounds very familiar. And then I looked it up to confirm, okay, yeah, it is something that Gandalf says. So Gandalf, the stranger's Gandalf. I think
if they want to, I mean, they could pull some cheap ass rug pull and be like, oh, Sauron taught Gandalf that quote.
No, they
wouldn't do that. I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do that.
And from what I heard, if it's that case where this is not Gandalf and this is Saruman, apparently that conflicts with a lot of the lore. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that conflicts with the lore already in the show, but if this is actually Saruman, it even further conflicts with certain things in the movies, in the books. So people that are even like not wanting to watch this show because it's like it's so contrarian to the mythos, they're like, all right, if this is actually Gandalf, which it's very heavily implied it is, it cannot be Sauron, because if it is, then A, B, and C and D are not correct either then. So Gandalf, I'll put it on Gandalf. They were very of all the lines for him to say. They could have I don't know. I feel like if they wanted the Sauron thing, they could have done something where Nori's asking, which way do we go? What do we look for? And then he says something like, we must find the Palantir. Or something stupid. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
So, drop some Christopher Lee line, and then I'll believe it.
Right. I believe it's Gandalf, too. I'm like, I don't think you don't do that. You don't do
that and then bait and switch again.
Only MCU does shit like that where they, tease it's this character, and then it's not this character. It's Gandalf. And it looks like they're taking some liberties with the mythos. Whether that not upsets fans, I don't know. I know there is a fandom.
It does.
There is. I'm okay with it. I think if there's any character you're going to bring back from the original films,
Gandalf.
I mean, Gandalf makes the most sense, but it's like, yes, Elrond and Galadriel and Sauron, hardly Sauron, are in the original films, but it's like Gandalf is one of the 9. He's one of the Fellowship. Sir Ian McKellen, that's probably the most iconic role from that movie.
Yeah.
With a movie with iconic roles. He stands above all else.
To the point where you don't even have to ask someone who has seen Lord of the Rings, do you know who Gandalf is?
They might confuse it with...
Oh, with who?
I was going to say they might confuse it with Dumbledore, but I'll be like, you're close. That's good.
You know what? Dumbledore, too. It's like you think of Harry Potter for people that don't watch Harry Potter, if you say Dumbledore, they'll be like, oh, yeah, the wizard. Right? From Lord of the Rings. And they'll be like, no, not him. Or like Darth Vader, from Star Wars.
They're iconic in name alone to where, yes, you don't have to have actually seen the piece of media they're from. You just know the name. So I think Gandalf is the perfect character to bring into this series. And now, again, I mean, he doesn't know his name. He's on a quest to figure more things out. I think we'll get more breadcrumbs into him being Gandalf in season 2. But I'm curious to see where they go with this, seeing as how they changed it up from the established mythos. I'm invested. I'm invested. So shout out to them for first big reveal. Second big reveal is a big deal. All right.
A big deal.
Big deal. So
you can imagine how giddy I was when they were hinting. I'm like, I know where this is going.
Well, here we go. Let's look at the Carfax. You love to point out that scene. Well, okay. Way back when we first met Hallbrand, why is this guy drifting with a bunch of randos out at sea? You know?
Remind me of that, because I like that I got the reveal right, but at the same time, it brings into question, well, wait a minute. Why was this even happening then? But the raft, the raft bit.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, he was just running away. He was done. He was ready to quit.
Okay. He was ready to quit.
Or at least he was going to head to Numenor and, I don't know, do something in Numenor.
Okay. Actually, would it have been, because they were very, because wait, yeah, Numenor. So let's say you leave Middle Earth, right? Like you're
Yes.
sailing. You're sailing
Yes.
to the west. You have to pass Numenor, right? And then you got more body of water, and then I'm just gonna call it the Veil before is it Valinor, the land of the elves?
Oh yes, Valinor. Yes.
Valinor. Okay. So you break that veil and then you can go into Valinor, but you can't, I thought it's like you can't go past that veil. So obviously when Galadriel was going in episode 1 to go back to Valinor, she was like, no, Sauron's still alive. And then she jumps into the water and starts swimming. She doesn't swim that far before bumping into Halbrand on the little raft.
Right.
So I mean, I'm just thinking in logic. I don't know if the writers thought of this, but I'm thinking position-wise, if they were at the Vale where she jumped off ship, she couldn't have swam that far before bumping into Halbrand. So they were past Numenor, right?
Okay. Sure.
If that makes sense. I don't know.
No, it makes sense. They were on the raft for a very long time.
Right.
So they very much could have past Numenor at that point. So yeah, but he was running away. And I looked it up. So he had a falling out with Adar. That's why Adar and him, Adar, you are Sauron, right?
You're Sauron.
Bitch, all right, Sauron,
Wait, they did have a falling out?
They did. And I remember in earlier episodes, there were pieces of dialogue that suggested they were not cool. Obviously, Adar hates to be called Sauron.
Right.
And apparently it's because, and I'm looking at this right now, Sauron was cruel to orcs. And
okay.
And then by extension, Uruks, who are like Adar, the first orcs.
Okay.
So those elves that turned into orcs. And that was what their falling out was about. And Adar apparently beat Sauron.
Okay.
Right. So at that point,
this is in like dialogue that was early on in the season.
this was in
like hints?
dialogue. Yes, this was hinted at in dialogue, and it probably came from Adar, of course.
Okay.
So we might need to go back and look. So that's what he's doing out there. He lost. He's on the run. He's done.
Okay.
Which I can believe.
I guess that then negates what I was gonna say, because I was like, why was he out there? Was he by chance hoping to bump into Galadriel? But it's not that case. He had no idea Galadriel was gonna be out in the ocean.
Had no idea. Right.
Okay.
But from there though, what he changes his mind because what he believes he can rule if with Galadriel by his side. Is that why he's gung-ho to help her get back?
I mean, well, because that's the thing. Remember, he was very reluctant to even go back to the Southlands. He wanted
Right,
to
and he
stay
was ready
in
to stay in Numenor, right?
And as to what that was gonna be, I would need to go back and listen to the dialogue as to, well, what now knowing that he's Sauron, what reasons would he have had to be like, Galadriel, I don't want to go to the Southlands. Leave me alone. I want to stay here. I want to know now why he wanted to stay there. Obviously, he wanted to be a blacksmith over there. If that was going to be a blacksmith where he was going to just start a new life and just mind his business, or if he was going to try and work his way up the hierarchy, or the class system of Numenor, and maybe build some powerful stuff, or working up the powerful court system in Numenor. I don't know. So there's that question mark, I think, unless there was dialogue that hinted at what he was going to do. But then you get those moments where we even called it when we saw it. He got cornered by those three guys in the alleyway, those other blacksmiths, and he beat the ever-loving crap out of them, and very maliciously.
Right.
We're like, dude, like, geez, man, okay. So you got suspicious from then on. But yeah, I think the point at which because again, so we don't know why he wanted to stay in Numenor. Fast forward to the fight with the Uruks, the orcs, right?
Mhm.
And Galadriel, Adar, and Halbrand have that
chase.
one on, right? They have that meeting in the woods,
Yes.
and Halbrand asked him, "What? You don't remember me?" And he asked him,
He did. He sure
he
did.
did. And so there was a line of dialogue where he was like, "No, I don't. Should I?" And then like, it's unknown if Adar was just messing with Halbrand, like as if he knew, but he was Halbrand. Oh God, I don't know if this was a red herring either, but like Adar was saying like, "Oh, I don't remember you, but did I kill like a wife, a lover, a child, a parent of yours? I don't know." As he went down like the possibilities of as to why he should remember this guy, that Halbrand was getting pissed. Like he was getting actively mad, and that's when Galadriel was like, "No, we must question him about the orcs and whatever." So and then he stopped. So it's like, is him getting mad at all the stuff that Adar is saying in that moment a red herring, or is he just mad? It's like, bro, you literally ousted me from my army, and you don't remember me. I'm getting so mad.
It very much could be chastising. It very much could just be maybe Halbrand was wearing a helmet. But
Wow.
that was a great, this breadcrumb, So fast forward to this episode now. I'm getting mad sus vibes the moment he starts talking to Celebrimbor. I'm like,
yeah. That if it wasn't more obvious from before, the moment he enters that blacksmith shop, or not shop, but like the
forge.
The forge. As soon as he enters that, and he just starts like looking around, saying, "Oh wow, is this the forge of the great Celebrimbor?
The Celebrimbor?
Is he here right now? Do you want to forge something?" Like, I'm like, no. Okay, now they're being way too obvious with this.
And then his expertise is just
out of nowhere.
We used to combine irons to make it stronger. Different types of metals. Like, dude, no. You know way too much. You know way too much about this stuff.
You have the answer to literally everything. Because what Celebrimbor tells, he doesn't divulge the whole secret. He's not saying the elves are dying. We need Mithril to save us. But he does bring up Mithril and what they were kind of trying to do with it. But he said, we don't, that's just a little fragment. We don't have enough, so we're not going to do anything with it. And then it's like you said, Halbrand's like, "Oh, but you could combine silver and gold and other alloys to forge the materials together." And I think even he, no, not yet. The first idea is we need to make a crown, right?
We need to make it circular, and
circular.
We're going to give it to the king, because the king, we're going to give it to the king.
Right.
So yes, and then after trial and error, they can't force the metals to combine, so they need to coax the metals to combine.
Persuade them.
Right.
Talk them into it.
Make them think they need one another. I'm like, okay.
Y'all being weird with this.
Right. But again, this guy, every step of the way, he gives the answer, and they only progress with him.
because of him. Like literally, I wasn't it Galadriel that came in and she was kind of like wanting them to stop a little bit early on, like
Just
in
like
that
slow
moment.
down. It was like,
She's like, yeah, you can't force these together. And Halbrand's like, force. You're right. We can't force this together. We must persuade them. And I'm like, what? What the hell?
and see, this leads me to what I said last week. I said, infiltrate the stronghold. And here we see him low key manipulating the process to where it's like, obviously he doesn't get to put his like, you know, his input as far as how to do it or his evil will, but we see that he knows what he's doing. He knows how to, he's going to take this information and run with it.
Right.
You know? So super sus. And then now of all times, what she believes like he knows too much, and she tells a scholar to go look to see the like
lineage.
the dynasty, the lineage of the
Right.
Southlands. Right.
Right. Yeah, she's just getting mad sus vibes from him. As she should. Because yeah, it's like a switch flipped. You know, it's almost like he's a different character in a way. As soon as they brought him to Linden, as soon as they brought him to
Yep.
Linden, he just changed personalities. He changed the way like
He's
he's just like, all right, let's do this. Let's go. Let's go.
yeah, he's giddy. He's not this, oh, I don't want to fight Galadriel. Who's the dagger for? Who's the dagger from? You know?
Galadriel, leave me alone. I will not go to the Southlands.
Right. He's out here being like, yo, well, if you do this, we could do this. And
Right.
he's overly ecstatic. Too much. I don't buy it. But again,
Mhm.
I guess now they have the resources to actually see, and we learn the Southland King lineage died 1,000 years ago.
And there was no heir from the last king.
The line was broken.
This is where I felt like Halbrand, if he wanted to, because he's in like what you just said right now. He's in the stronghold of the elves, and he's coercing them to make something that he wants. I felt like when Galadriel confronts him with the lineage, I felt like he could have just BS'd his way out of that instead of just saying, well, I guess you got me, Galadriel.
But he's like, I told you, I got that thing off of a dead man. You didn't believe me.
Literally, he could have said that. He could have been like, oh, I mean, well, the last king, he had a bastard, and the lineage continued on, and I am the son of that last bastard king. I don't see why Sauron wants to just, pull the Scooby-Doo mask off his face right now. Because I feel like if you could have just talked a little bit to Galadriel, I feel like she would have maybe believed it. But we gotta wrap up. This is the season finale. So he pulls off the mask, and he's like, oh, whoa, you found out the Galadriel. And what, he like puts her in like a dream sequence,
He's like, yeah, it was essentially a dream sequence. He's like, how would they feel when they find out that you are the one that kept Sauron alive? And then,
oh,
boom.
no. Well, wait, because first, like, he does the dream thing, and then he impersonates her brother.
Her brother first, yes.
Her brother first. And the brother is her brother's just stroking off Sauron. It's literally it's him. It's Sauron stroking off himself, literally.
Right.
He's saying like, oh yeah, Sauron, he just he doesn't want to conquer, he just wants peace. That's all he wants.
Well, he says peace and to rule. And she was like, well, which one?
At the end she does that.
Yes.
But with the brother, it's like the brother's just like stroking him up. He's like, oh yeah, Sauron's good, Sauron's great. he's Sauron's so big and muscular. He's so amazing, man. Did you know that he's a genius as well? He's building up the ego.
He wants to
And-
heal Middle Earth.
He wants to heal Middle Earth. Galadriel's not buying it, and then the brother just starts freaking out, like Galadriel, like he just
Look at me.
look at, and then it switches to the raft, right?
The
Then
raft.
it goes to
Yep,
the raft,
they're on
and
the
then
raft.
now it's Hallbrand himself there, and then that's when you get this really cool shot. I thought it was cool, where like it's her and Hallbrand standing on the raft, and
Oh.
then
Beautiful shot. Goodness.
very beautiful. It flips, and in the reflection of the water, you see Galadriel and like kind of like royal garb a little bit, because she has like a cape, like a
She's basically wearing the white dress that she wore
From-
in the films.
from the film.
The long,
okay.
the long flowing white dress.
Okay, which fits the imagery that Sauron was trying to put in her head, because right here you see Sauron as he is, like a king with a crown, and that's where he makes the proposal, like, Galadriel, be my queen. Together we will rule all of Middle Earth, and that's where you get the lines of, is this what the hell was that?
Nothing.
Did you throw up?
No.
Well, some of the fandom did throw up in this scene because they thought this is just ridiculous. I can't believe Sauron is being shipped with Galadriel, because it's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
What? Well.
Actually,
Take it back to the Fellowship. Remember Galadriel? When Frodo says, "I would give you the ring if you ask for it," and then she says,
oh,
"Instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a Dark Queen."
what? So that means like, oh, I was proposed to by Sauron. So
I think I think that's kind of a little tie back to this. It's like she was already tempted before and was offered, and she knows what his
Sauron
intentions
wants.
were. So
With her.
therefore, the ring being his will living on, she knows that is what he always wanted of her.
Okay. I
You
can see
Yeah.
that. Yes, I see that. The Tolkien fandom is not gonna buy it, but
It ain't that deep.
I can see the callback. It's Sauron making that proposal, and then you get that line also, which is what you brought up earlier. She's like, what are we gonna be, a king and queen to to save or to rule? And he's like, what's the difference, baby? And then she's like, I will never join you then. And then that's again followed up again with Hallbrand saying, what will they do when they learn that you helped save me, Galadriel? Like, he starts turning people.
Or you're the one who brought Sauron to the Elven Kingdom, or something of that
It
sort.
was something along those lines. Like, and I'm like, Galadriel, you could just explain that he tricked you. Like, you had no idea. They don't know it's him. You don't know it's him.
If you mean to tell me that the Dark Lord is not a trickster, why is that so unbelievable?
It's like,
Not to mention, ain't nobody knows what he looks like.
what, like as a in his
Like, as
in
a
his
per-
evil
like-
form?
As a human, like,
Oh, as a
Sauron.
human, right? Yeah,
Nobody knows what-
as if he had like an arrow and a sign pointing to him saying, "This is my Sauron human disguise."
Or like if there was a wanted poster that was just like, "This is Sauron, be on the lookout for him."
Dead or alive.
Right. There was never any of that. So it's like, you can't blame her. She just found a bunch of randos drifting. Come
Right.
on. I wouldn't blame her, but she thinks she will be blamed, so she doesn't
thinks
tell
she will.
anybody. She
does
doesn't
not
tell a soul.
anyone. And she
Not a
what?
single soul.
She also forces she basically denies Sauron, because Sauron's an incel. He wants Galadriel as his queen.
Right.
And so Sauron's like, all right, I guess I'm gonna dip. Thanks, Galadriel. And then he just goes away. He's
like, I gotta get out of
here. So
she's gonna rat on me. Gotta go.
So he's gone now, and then that's when Elrond finds her in the water, and she kind of like awakens in that moment, and she's like, "Oh, are you really Elrond or Sauron?" He's like, "Jesus Christ, I'm Elrond."
Why the bloody hell would you think I'm Sauron?
You are Sauron.
Wait a minute. You again he didn't put it together as far as why she would believe he's Sauron in that.
Well, not in that
instant.
moment. Not in
that moment. Right.
Right. And she just basically has him say, you know, what's something that we remember as kids or something, or no. How do we first meet?
How do we first meet?
And Elrond recounts that, and she's like, "Oh, okay, you're Elrond."
Sounded like a basic
Halbrand?
answer. Right? Wasn't he just here? Didn't he just go outside to get Galadriel, and now he's all gone?
Now he's all gone.
Nothing. Nobody questions a thing.
No one. Yeah, that's the weird bit. It's like, where'd he go?
And they ask her, and she's just like, "We will not be." Like, I don't remember the word she says, but she basically is like, we're not going to be speaking to him again.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. She does say that. She said, we are never to speak with him again. And like, no one questions like, okay, but why? What happened? He was just in here. He literally gave us the solution to save our entire race.
We need his brain.
And if we're not going to have his brain, can you give me a damn reason why? Can you give me a reason why we're not going to communicate? Did something happen? He just left.
It's like, Galadriel, what the hell did you do? Why'd you scare him away? We needed him.
Apparently she's like, nope, not going to do it. And then, you know, Elrond, he goes, I guess, to where he found Galadriel in the water, and that's where he finds the scroll, and he's like, oh my god. He pieces together like, you are Sauron, right? And so he goes back. Galadriel gives him like the eye, you know, like, don't do it, don't be an oath breaker. And he's like, I guess I won't tell anyone that we were just coerced by Sauron. But that's when, well, a little bit before that moment with Elrond, when he went to the water to find the scroll, Galadriel basically tells Celebrimbor
instead of one, because she says, and this was really good. Actually, I have it pulled up. She says,
one,
three. There's three. Three is balanced.
Make three.
And they're like, why three? And she's like, one is too easy to corrupt. One will always corrupt. Two will divide. But with three, there's balance.
I like that.
I like that too, especially if you know, well, 3A is the strongest shaped triangle, you know, Trinity.
It's the strongest shape.
Triangles are the strongest shape, specifically a right triangle.
I see.
A right equilateral triangle is the strongest shape. So there's that. Okay. But then, you know, if you know your history with the other rings, I didn't realize they're all odd numbers. So 7
9 and 7.
Correct. 9, 7, and then of course the 1.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay.
Which the 1, as she said, 1 will always corrupt.
Oh wow! I didn't even tie it to the 1 ring, because it is corrupted. Okay.
Right. And again, when you think about it, you know, I on a little tangent, I never realized how much kind of George R.R. Martin borrows from, or not borrows, but you know, like almost pays homage. Like the Iron Throne is one throne. I think Nino Desposado pointed this out too. But it's one throne and it always corrupts. Imagine if it was balanced. Imagine if there was three.
Right.
You know, it's the 7 kingdoms, odd number, but it's only one throne, you know? So
Right.
there's logic. I like the logic she presents here.
And that's coupled with you know, we don't have enough material to make 3 crowns, so we got to minimize, right?
We got to minimize, we got to make them smaller.
We got to make them smaller, but what we need for that is Valinor gold and silver. And they're eyeballing Galadriel because she's the only one that has Valinor gold and silver.
Her
And
brother's dagger.
it's her dagger, her brother's dagger that she gave her, that he gave her.
Which some interesting symbolism, you know, that dagger kind of represented her hunt for Sauron.
Right.
And now, you know, now she knows who Sauron is, what he looks like.
Sauron, right?
And she gives up the dagger. She lets go of that I don't think she let go of that hate, but that chase is no longer a thing.
Right.
So where does she go from here? You've seen the face of evil now. You know what he looks like.
And it tried to seduce you as well.
It damn near worked.
Because she didn't even say no right away. She was like,
She questioned
Well,
it. She's like,
well.
he might have a point.
he might have a point. And I mean, you are Sauron, right?
Right. The greatest
And-
evil power out there.
But he gave the wrong answer. I don't know the difference between saving and ruling. And she's like, okay, then no. You had me up until that point. So that's when I said no. It's funny.
But yeah, I don't know where she goes from here. Is all her answers now in these 3 rings of power, which also apparently goes against mythos. The elves were the
Yes.
last to get their
Yes.
rings.
Right.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I think so that goes against the mythos, but I think the design of the rings, they actually kept to the mythos.
Right, because in the films, the rings did not have gemstones.
They didn't. They all kind of just looked like just rings, just regular
like bands, like gold bands.
Right. And then the one ring was the cool, unique one because it was a band, but it also had like the inscription, that was like in like the magma style font or whatever.
Yes, it was written in the tongue of Mordor.
Right. So yeah, I do like that in that aspect. They did keep to at least that element of the lore. The rings, they look different. They look different, and they have the gemstones in them. So apparently that's going to be the solution to saving the elves from dying in Middle Earth, but they didn't really explain how that's going to work. Like, is it just whoever puts on the rings is going to be like a bubble?
It's like Green Lantern. No, it's Green Lantern to be like, beware my power. Elf ring light.
I guess that'll work. The light will bubble up and protect all the elves. They didn't explain that element.
They really didn't. They didn't.
And I guess that's like a season 2 thing, but I could see people like having a problem with that because the original idea was put every elf, like 80,000+ elves in mithril armor, but now they can't do that because they don't have enough mithril.
They need those dwarves. Those dwarves will be their best friends.
And actually, that's the one plot thread that they didn't bring back into this episode.
Oh no, there's a couple. So now that we're here, who got shortlisted? Durin and Disa, no show.
Yeah.
So last time we saw
nothing.
the Balrog is awakened. Wow, what a tease! No Balrog.
No Balrog.
Gotta wait a whole nother season maybe. Arondir, Bronwyn, and Theo in the Southlands.
Nothing.
Don't know what's going on. I mean, Mordor's right next door, but hope they're okay.
Hope they're okay.
Um,
They literally helped out Hallbrand. They're like, all right, let's help out Hallbrand, and then Galadriel left with Hallbrand, and now we don't know what's going on with those three. No Bronwyn, no Theo. I don't want any more Theo. I don't care. And no Rundir.
Nope.
So they're out, and
I think that was it for those who didn't make the cut.
Right.
I mean, all those characters I hope to see again for sure in like proper fashion.
Well, not Theo.
Maybe not Theo. I mean, even at this point, Arundir and Bronwyn are just kind of like frontline grunts. I mean, they have their romance, but I don't know. You can only carry that so far. Another season.
I guess I don't mind them kind of leaving them in the dust a little bit. It's something where, so like kind of going back a little bit to the story with Nori and the stranger. Nori basically says goodbye to the Harfoots to go travel with the stranger. And
well, she was ready to stay. She was ready to stay. And then they packed her bag for her and said, you got to get going.
You think it was that noble, or do you think it was more like, get this crazy nut out of here because of all the crap she started? Get her out.
That is not what that was for.
The Harfoots are terrible people, man. I don't like the Harfoots.
Listen,
one bit.
These last 2 episodes of the Harfoots have really shown their stuff. Shout out to Sadik. Gone too soon. He has fallen off the trail.
Good.
Stop it.
He was in agreement to leave Nori and the rest of them at the back of the pack. Screw him. I'm glad. I'm the part of this plot thread that I'm happy with is that the Harfoots are not in the picture anymore. For now, potentially. I
was gonna say, I don't know. I think there's room here. It seems Poppy might be taking more of a leadership role with the Harfoots.
Oh God, no! You think they're gonna be doubling back to? Actually, no. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
Oh, there is a way. I'm telling you right now, the Harfoots are gonna come across paths with probably a Rondir or Bronwyn. That seems more likely, if anything. They're just gonna cross paths with somebody. That's where I see it going.
The thing with that, the problem I have with it is that there's no plot thread that they have that ties them back into the grand scheme of things of what's going on. Correct. Unless they do what you said and bump into another main cast of characters like Arundir, or if they bump into Galadriel, God forbid, and they're going to be picked up by other plot threads. By themselves, they have nothing. The stranger was the element that was carrying their plot forward, and also the three wise women that were chasing them.
Yeah, no. That's the Harfoots. That's their characters. The main plot is not going to center around them. They are here by proxy.
So I thought, I'm so glad they didn't do this. I thought they were going to do something where like they were going to have like a Poppy Samwise join the crew. I'm like, oh my goodness, you couldn't be any more on the nose of who you're drawing inspiration from.
I thought I would have liked that better.
You wanted Poppy to tag along?
I sure did. I wanted Poppy to be the Sam. I sure did. Hooper TV would like to send his sentiments. He loves the Harfoots.
Wow.
He said he cried when Poppy said she wasn't going and gave that last hug to Nori. Cried.
Speechless.
I will say it was a well-acted scene. It was a
well-acted scene. It lasted a little too long for my liking. Like, they said goodbye like 10 times. Like,
it was terrible. I mean, those characters earned it. I think they earned that goodbye.
I think they
earned that goodbye.
Interesting. I mean, it was well acted. I thought Poppy just good riddance. They're gone. And now if I just have to deal with one Harfoot, that being Nori, who I already don't like, I'm okay with that. I can handle one Harfoot. Because now what? Nori and I'm just gonna call him Gandalf. He's Gandalf. Nori and Gandalf, they're heading where?
To Rune.
To Rune?
Rune, which
Rune, okay.
was gonna help him become the wizard.
Is that a person or a place?
That's a place. I'm pretty sure it's a place.
Okay.
And that's gonna help him become the wizard he needs to be.
Okay. Because he kind of, I mean, he was doing spells throughout the entire season, or like some makeshift spells that he was pulling out. And then he did that thing where he like obliterated the three characters into moths. Did you see what they turned into before they got obliterated?
Yes, they looked very wraith-like. Like
people
when
are
Frodo,
mad about that
people are mad that they look wraith-like
because the whole concept of wraiths, from what I understand, is that they were corrupted by the rings.
Right.
So for these characters to then be wraiths, it's like, well, how are they wraiths? Because the whole point of a wraith is what we got from the Lord of the Rings. That was actually the correct interpretation of what a wraith was. So when Gandalf said, I am good, or I am Groot, and he obliterates them, it's like, wait, so they're wraiths, but why? To me, like, I'm not bothered by it, but I could see someone being bothered by it. Like, why just like now you have two different interpretations of wraiths, and you have to explain why this group of people are wraiths, which I don't think they're ever gonna do. I feel like we're likely not gonna encounter these characters again, like these type of characters.
I don't think I buy that they're wraiths, but I think that was definitely a visual nod to wraiths. Like they definitely want us questioning whether or not these guys are wraiths. And yeah, the fandom's going crazy. They can't be wraiths. Maybe again, wraith-like in nature, as far as
not exactly a wraith, like in the tradition.
Not a ring wraith, not a ring wraith, like a wraith that was bound to the ring. You know. Okay. Maybe they're bound to something else, you know?
Okay. Because we technically don't know what was their deal. Yeah.
We don't know where they're from. You're right. No, you're right. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what their deal is.
We don't know why they worship Sauron. If there's like a faction or like a cult of people that were like waiting for
I'm guessing
Sauron.
This cannot be the only three.
Actually, yeah, you know what? Yeah, they haven't explained what the hell their deal was. So we might not see them in the Stranger or in the Gandalf and Nori plot thread, but I feel like we're going to see them again in another plot thread. Like maybe they'll bump into Galadriel, and maybe they'll bump into Sauron, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're Sauron, right?" And then there, whatever they are, they'll carry the plot moving forward. But yeah, like aside from that, you have that scene with Halbrand, like heading back to Mordor.
To Mordor. At the
very end. You see Mount Doom in the back, and he does that thing. He does that cliche thing where he looks at the camera and says, "I'm evil." And then he puts on his hood and he keeps walking.
No, he looked out there and he said, "Daddy's home."
Daddy, he's home. Adar's there too, so he's gonna bump into Adar.
Oh, okay. That'll be an interesting plot thread moving forward. Adar versus Sauron
versus Sauron.
Like where do orcs and Uruk stand? Do they worship Adar?
Who are they gonna want to side with? Do they want to side with Adar? Someone who Adar was sadistic in his own way, because I'm just thinking about that scene where they were in the woods and he grabbed that orc that was reporting to him and he's like, "What do you feel?" And the sun is like burning his arm and he's like, "Hot like the iron, sir." I'm like, I can see that you care for them, but do you gotta act like this to these people?
He's got to be a leader. He's got to be a leader.
I gotta.
But apparently, Sauron's more cruel.
Apparently so. So I can imagine, like, oh my god, like what would have been worse than being that sadistic with your underlings, I guess.
Right. I think that'll be a really cool plot thread moving forward.
Yeah. Are
villain.
you? Oh wait, what?
I was just gonna say villainous back and forth.
Oh, okay. Overall, are you happy with Halbrand being Sauron, or satisfied?
I'm like
Different.
I'm indifferent just because I think it was a great reveal. I think the reveal was done really well. I just don't know enough of the mythos about Sauron. I didn't know he was like human. Like,
well,
or I don't know.
I don't think he ever was. Yeah, human in the mythos. Was he an elf? Was he an elf?
I was always under the impression, yes, he was an elf. I was always under that impression. And
Right.
so what I would like out of a season 2, I would just like some explanation about what happened all these years ago. Was he like just a general of Morgoth? And just a normal guy with armor? Or was he like imbued with powers? I don't know. I would like to see more origin. Now that we know he's Sauron, I guess the cat's out the bag. So it's like, all right, tell us more. Give us more. Let's see what happened way back when with him and Adar. Let's see how he escaped Galadriel for 80 plus years. Right? It was 80 years, right? She was chasing
Was it
him.
80? No, I think it was a couple centuries because
Okay, even
yeah,
worse. Even
for
worse.
some reason I remember something like 200 or 300 years. Like she was it was a couple centuries because I remember in episode 1 they were in the mountains and she was with Galadriel was with her squad or whatever, and I don't know if it was like a direct line or someone implied it, but they were like, Galadriel, we've been looking for hundreds of years.
Just give it up, you
Give
crazy
it up.
bitch. And they draw their swords on her.
Exactly. So I think she was looking for him for a couple centuries, and the other elves were like, I think he's dead. You're overreacting. Let's go home.
Yes, we want to go home. Please take us home. Mutiny.
And Galadriel was right all along, but you have some weird
was.
scenes. Yeah, you have some weird scenes still where like I don't remember the elf king's name.
Galahad or something.
Galahad. I'm maybe something like that. But the elf king, right? Who
Yes.
I swear I don't know why I haven't said it once in this entire run that
Galahad.
we've done. Galahad.
No, wait, no. That's King Arthur. Sorry.
That
Nope.
oh my god. He face wise, I swear every time I keep thinking he's like related to Kevin Spacey. I keep looking at him and I'm like,
Oh,
that is
I
that
can
Kevin
see it.
Spacey? And I'm like,
Gil-galad.
Gil-galad? Gil-galad.
Gil-galad.
Gil-galad. Okay. There was like a scene where like in this episode, where Celebrimbor is saying we must make the rings, and Gil-galad is like, no, we have to leave. We don't have enough time. And Galadriel's there. Well, first off, everyone was shocked that Elrond was shocked, like, oh my god, my friend Galadriel, how are you even here? Because the last he's seen her was going on the boat to Valinor, and he thought he was already in the land of the elves. Galadriel's trying to convince them like we must make the ring, or a ring or a crown, whatever. And then Gil-galad is just like pissed with her, saying like, you shouldn't even be here, Galadriel. And I'm like, okay, but wait a minute. She was right. She was right. Like
She was right, but also, had they never sent her away, she would have never jumped off that boat and found that raft.
and
with him on
Sauron would
it.
have drowned in the ocean.
She would have been just running around Middle Earth this whole entire time, never finding him.
That's
You played
hilarious.
yourself, Gil-galad. You played yourself.
Played yourself. Oh goodness.
Numenor is brought back into the fold.
Yeah, did you know what was going on with this plot thread? Because like, was that the sister in
That is the
king's
sister.
room and something? This was where they lost me. I had
He's
no idea what was going on.
Well, I know. I just don't know what's the purpose of this. I was lost as far as what is so significant. The king is having an episode. He thinks he's talking to Muriel,
Okay.
but he's talking to Isildur's sister.
Okay.
And yeah, I was definitely lost. She finds the Palantir, and he like warns her not to look at it as long as I do, which is why I guess he went crazy.
Okay.
I don't know what comes of this. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on with this.
And then Isildur's dad and the Queen Regent, they arrived back in Numenor, right?
Yes, yes.
What was it that they saw that like they emphasized, like, oh my God? Was it that they mobilized? Like they're
Right,
ready?
the ships, right? Was it the ships?
I guess that's what I get, because I was trying to see like, wait, what are they seeing that is shocking? Is the city in ruins? No. Is it it's not as colorful as before? It's kind of gray, but like what am I supposed to see here? But I guess it was the ships, like they were mobilizing to like an army to sail out. Is that what it was?
I mean, that's if it was the ships. I was very confused as to what are we geeking out about? What is going on?
Right, right.
I guess I'm guessing I have it up right here. I mean, they only had 3 warships before. They look to have more now.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a different faction, though. It looks like someone put their flags up on because they had like a ring
Oh, that's
and a
not
black
the
flag.
That's not the
I don't
Numenor?
know if that's of Numenor, right?
Okay.
So,
I know Pharazin, the bearded guy that stayed,
Pharazin, yes.
that stayed behind. I know he had like some messed up thing that he was gonna do, like he was gonna conquer the Southlands, or like he pushed them, Galadriel and the rest to like go out there so that his plans can progress. And in the lore, in the established lore, they might change this or they might pay some homage. In the established lore, Pharazin's not a good guy. He's a messed up person. So I'm guessing that was the whole point. It's like, oh, the queen left for like, I guess like a couple weeks or a month or something, and she comes back and she's like, Pharazin, what are you doing? And maybe they'll start butting heads like, you helped the elf and we hate elves in Numenor. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I know Pharazin is not a good person in the mythos. So it's something that the regent, I keep calling her the Queen Regent because I can't remember her name, but
Muriel.
she's gonna have to butt heads.
Muriel. Sorry, Muriel.
Muriel. She's gonna have to butt heads with him and I don't know, fight for succession or something. I think it's something where because the king died already, like he died in this episode.
Yes, he
right?
dies in this episode. Yes.
Okay, he died in this episode, and I think for succession, I think there's something in it where it's like whoever is like there in the kingdom that's like the next powerful person would basically rule in that scenario. So because because Muriel was away, she technically was not there when the king died, so she would be the rightful heir. So instead, it's Pharazin. He's the next person. He's right there when the king dies. So it's like, oh well, I'm all right. I got the throne, and we're gonna mobilize. I think because again, they didn't do a good job explaining what the hell I'm supposed to be paying attention to here. But I think that's what they were going for. Pharazin is now the successor because Muriel was away The king is dead, so the throne goes to him, which is really stupid because it's like, I literally want to fight for Numenor. that is not how it works. But
Right. I come back to this.
I come back to this, and
You pulled
I'm
this
guessing.
shit on me?
exactly, I'm blind now. And that
They're
might
gonna
be something
use
he
that-
brings up. Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
they're gonna use that. They're like, you want the throne, but you can't even see it. And they're
Because
gonna.
that's a great excuse.
It's gonna be something that he throws in her face as an act of shame. Like, all right, but you're blind, so
Right. You're
I'm
so
not.
incapable.
right, exactly. So we'll
Because
see.
you built all these ships, didn't you, Farazin?
exactly. Did you build them yourself?
Right. So we're both blind because you didn't build shit. Yes, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, they did promise to come back and help.
Right.
We
Right.
know we're gearing up for that final confrontation of Isildur. Hurry. That's it. No, that was it. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
That's it. I mean, it's just the loose plot threads that we don't know about. Like Isildur, we know he's supposed to be alive, but we don't
He
know.
has to be alive.
We don't know what his deal is, what's going on. So he's left in the dust. Durin and the whole thing with the dwarves and the Balrog, that's just not addressed at all. It's a tease, BS. But yeah, other than that, everything else was kind of addressed in a way. And that's basically it. I guess it's more or less just what do they need to cover in season 2, which I think we kind of hinted at as we talked about each plot thread.
Well, I mean, we need 16 more rings.
16?
9 plus 7.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. The 9 plus
Well,
the 7 plus the 1.
17 plus the 1. Oh, 17 if you include
17,
the 1.
17. Right.
17 more rings.
Right.
The Balrog is coming for sure.
Right. Nori
We definitely
and Gandalf are heading to the room.
to Rune. Yep.
Okay.
Where we might run into more Ishtar,
Could be Blue
Very
Wizards could be there.
Radagast, or maybe even Sauron. I mean Saruman.
Oh, okay. I don't know if he's a lot. Well, it doesn't matter. They keep changing the lore. So
Yep, it
maybe
doesn't
he's
even
there.
matter.
I don't
Doesn't
know.
even matter.
It doesn't
right?
even matter.
They're just gonna play around with it however they see fit.
Right.
Sauron and Adar definitely gonna come to head.
and then you get the song at the end.
Oh, it's not even a song. You know, it's not a song.
What? It's not a song in the lore.
That's just the line, and they're just singing it for some reason.
I thought it was nice. It was
Oh,
kinda
it's not
liked
a
it.
s- it's very foreboding for sure.
right. It was very ominous because it ended with Sauron going
Yes.
to Mordor. So it's like, oh man, he's gonna start shit, and then they start singing it, and I'm like, I get why it's just kind of cringe why they're singing it, but I kind of just liked. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it. It flowed. I was like,
It gives the chill. It gives the chill. I feel chills listening to it. It's just, I don't know. Imagine if they sing "You Shall Not Pass."
You shall not pass.
Go back to the shadows.
They could do it.
No,
Oh,
that's
man.
stupid. Oh, man.
What about second breakfast?
Yeah, you can make a song about every freaking line.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
But overall, or are you satisfied with this finale? Satisfying finale?
Yeah, I kind of wanted more spectacle a little bit.
Sure.
Like, because Lord of the Rings is an epic. You gotta have your epic battles, and they had battles. I don't know if I would call them epic. They were very small scale.
Helm's Deep is it's like
They're nowhere near.
yeah, no, right. Nowhere near.
And it's like I'm thinking, you know, especially with a Balrog teased in the last episode, in last week's episode, it's like, well, I'm guessing you guys are teasing, like a showdown with the Balrog. That'll be the grand finale. But no, there wasn't. They had the reveals, they had the plot twist, but I feel like this season didn't really have enough of the grand scale battles that Lord of the Rings is known for. You got to have a balance of everything. Did they have battles? Yes, they did. But were they grand in any way? I don't think so. You got some people saying like, oh wow, Galadriel dodging the arrow and, you know, ducking underneath the horse while she's riding.
You're right. I wouldn't call it grand. Grand is not the word I would use.
Right.
Not in a Lord of the Rings like rating scale. Like,
right.
We haven't reached it. I think they're slowly gonna build towards it. We're gonna get a really, I mean, if they're gonna remake the final battle, that'll probably be something.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we don't know how many skirmishes there will be between now and that final battle. I think the Balrog tease was misplaced. I think that would have been better. That should have been used probably in this episode.
I think I would have been fine with it in this episode.
Right.
It would have worked a lot better.
It just really, that's a bait and switch for the finale. It was like we thought we were gonna get the Balrog.
Right. No. Nothing. It's just Durin and his king of dwarves gonna just go get killed off by the Balrog, I guess. We'll find out when they get to a season 2. But yeah, I think as a finale it was fine for like the plot twists. There were just some things I wish. I think the Harfoot goodbye was a little too long, because then I'm thinking you guys ate away from other elements that I have problems with the rest of the finale, like whether things were sped along too quickly or their runtime ate away into what we could have gotten with a Balrog scene.
You're a Harfoot hater. You're a Harfoot hater.
I think it's justified, and I'm not the only one. I am not the only one that does not like the Harfoots. They had a very bad first impression. They're just terrible people. They're just terrible people. And of course, you know, they learned their lesson by the end of it all. But what it took to get to that lesson, I don't know. But I think it's a step in the right direction where it's like, all right, the Harfoots, they're going to do their own thing. We're not going to follow. We might, you know, come in and check on them every once in a while, but Nori was the core of the Harfoots plot. And now that core is with Gandalf. So the Harfoot story is going to continue with her and Gandalf. And the squad of Harfoots, we'll check in on them like once a season or something.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to see them plenty.
You must really want them to come back.
It's not that I want them. I just know we will be seeing them. I'm telling you, they got big things in store for the Harfoots.
Let me ask you this, because I think, well, are you satisfied with the finale? Let me ask that first.
It was like a softer finale.
Okay.
Which I think again this season actually had a couple of finales. Like the Balrog could have been a finale, like a final shot. Mount Doom erupting could have been a final shot.
That would have been a good. Oh man, yeah.
Right. So, the 3 rings definitely cool for sure. Definitely satisfied with. I'm satisfied more with the Stranger reveal than necessarily Hallbrand, but it was an enjoyable finale. It was very enjoyable. Yeah, it's kind of it didn't hit you with the epicness. Hopefully, more to come.
So if those are your thoughts on the finale, I guess the final question we can address is, what are your thoughts of season 1 as a whole? Do you think Rings of Power, despite, and I think it's a valid criticism because I've been paying attention to both sides. I've been looking at, I'm ignoring the people that are saying dumb stuff like, all the elves are supposed to be white. They have fair skin. They're supposed to be like this. I do not care about that criticism. I ignore it. But I'm listening to the people that are giving valid criticism, like the pre-established lore in the Tolkien verse was really, really, really good. Really, really enriched, just fantastic from top to bottom. Rings of Power, it does a lot more because we kind of misunderstood what they were changing in episode 1 when we talked about it. Our understanding of the changes was more like they'll move the timelines a little bit around so that they could tell a more cohesive story. So instead of Sauron pulling off the Scooby-Doo mask in the year 2000, he now does it in the year 1500 or something, right? So that we all tell a cohesive story. It does a lot more than that for change. You got significant changes in the mythos. I mean, you even said it yourself. The 3 elven rings, it completely contradicts why they were made in the first place if they're made as the first set of the Rings of Power. And that's just one example. That's just one example. They've done a lot of stuff throughout the season. And people criticize that because it's like this part, like you changing the story to this degree makes it, in a sense, a lot worse. A lot worse. And it makes me think when I go back and think about it, I'm like, well, would I be feeling this way if I knew what was changed and I knew what was changed was better than what we got? I think that's a valid criticism because I don't know. Like I enjoyed Rings of Power. But at the same time, am I enjoying it because I just don't know what I could have gotten if they did it from what was established, or am I just genuinely enjoying what they're giving me? Like this is actually a pretty decent show.
I am team what's that? How's that saying go? What you don't know can't hurt you. So some of this
they're gonna cover your throat.
They can, but it's like I enjoyed this series for what they have given us.
You can't be mad at what you don't know.
Exactly. I don't know what they switched up. I have an idea that of some things that are switched up, and
like the Wraith, the Wraith.
Right. And it gets to a point where it's like, well, if I truly care about what they change, I might as well not even watch the show and just go read all the appendices, the Silmarillion, and anything else remotely tying into the show, and just do and read that. But I think there's beauty too in not, having the original source material. You can just enjoy it as the show. It's an adaptation. Is it a direct adaptation? No, they're taking liberties, they're creating characters, and it's like the chessboard and chess pieces are the same. They're just not playing chess.
Yes. What a comparison.
They got the knight. He doesn't move like an L. They said we're gonna move him like a rook.
Okay.
You didn't see that one coming.
I didn't. That was actually pretty good. I'll give you
I'm saying the writers.
The showrunners.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, the showrunners like, yep, you didn't see that coming.
Okay.
So I think there's enjoyment. I think there's enjoyment. Again, I think there are some things you have to keep the same. Isildur has to be the guy to chop off his hand. I would be upset if they were to change something like that. But namely, that's because that's movie lore I'm tying it back to. The movies were my thing as far as I read The Hobbit, but I didn't read The Lord of the Rings. So when I watched,
same, yeah, I read The Hobbit in middle school, and
a lot of people read The Hobbit more than Lord of the Rings,
which is weird because like I think Lord of the Rings is the more grand
it is
tale, and I'm like, why didn't I read that instead of The Hobbit? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But I read The Hobbit first. I only read The Hobbit.
Right, and so for me, it's like when I watch this show, the only thing I'm looking for is connectivity back to the films. I care more about that than the connectivity or the, the accuracy based on the actual work of Tolkien. So that's where I stand.
Okay. I think that's fair. I mean, like, the only comparison I could draw it to is like, you can change, because it's kind of like, I guess there's two examples, like, Harry Potter, right? The Harry Potter films, for the most part, they follow what the books establish, but there are certain things that they don't adapt into the movies. There's certain characters in the books that don't ever make an appearance in the movies either. But it's still a good adaptation nonetheless
Right.
of what liberties they take. What I consider a bad adaptation in what it's doing and how it's considered with the lore is an example like the Halo TV series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I know a significant amount of the Halo mythos because I'm invested in the Halo mythos. So watching a live action Halo TV series, I'm looking for certain things. Even though they mentioned in the beginning, hey, we're not adapting the games 1-to-1. We're kind of going to do our own thing. And with that, there's disappointment because I'm like, why are you going to do that? You have the lore already there. But I was like, okay, they're admitting it from the beginning. Let's see what new stuff they try to do. And even in its attempt at telling a new side of the mythos, it's still bad. It's very bad. So you have the Halo TV series as a poor adaptation of the games and also just a poor show in its own right. Some people will say otherwise, but no, it's bad. It's bad.
And that's a problem. If you're going to take liberties and, play with the wiggle room you have, I mean, Lord of the Rings timeline is quite vast. There's a lot of wiggle room in there, but it has to be quality. You cannot create your own little storyline in such an established universe and then it be trash. Like, it has to be good. Or we're just going to be like, stick to the original or stick to the source.
Why didn't you stick to the source?
Exactly.
It's already there. Okay.
So for the most part,
satisfied with
yes,
what we got in a season 1 of Rings of Power.
I mean, I wasn't satisfied with everything. Like,
Right?
again,
Yeah,
we
that
talked
doesn't
about
mean
Theo, whatever. But yeah, majority, yes, I am satisfied.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I'm in the same boat too. There are some parts of the lore I am aware of, but again, it's kind of like what we said. I cannot be upset at what I don't know. I don't know the lore
Right.
of Sauron. I can't.
So, imagine a dude preaching. They changed the timeline. Gandalf was supposed to appear in the Third Age. Blasphemy! Protest with us. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I don't.
I liked it. I didn't know that before.
It's fine for me. I can't just say, I can't pretend that I'm mad. I'm not.
Right. It's like, that's y'all's tree you're barking up. I'm good. I'm chilling at the
Right.
fire hydrant. We're good over here.
I'm okay with what we got. There were problems with it, and I think those can be addressed in a season 2. They're gonna figure out what works, what didn't work, and go on from there. I think we have 4 seasons confirmed, 4 or 5 seasons confirmed.
They said they were gonna do 5, right?
5. Okay.
Season 2 just started filming. Oh, I was
Right.
under the impression they started a long time ago.
No, they just started in October.
Right.
I think they're filming in the UK.
They are currently in the UK. I think they will eventually take it
back to New Zealand.
back to New Zealand for some exterior shots. But
Okay.
yes, right now they're in the studio in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, I'm satisfied. In terms of a score, if I was gonna give it anything, man, I kind of like that I got the Sauron reveal. So I'm gonna, it kind of I don't know. I feel good about it. Does it make sense that he's Sauron? I get it. Probably doesn't. But honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I would give it an 8. I think from just me watching it as a show on its own, I laughed at certain parts that were ridiculous. I made fun of characters that I didn't like. I made fun of factions of characters that I didn't like either. But was I having fun watching it? I kind of was. I was having fun regardless of what I knew of the lore, how dumb certain scenes were. Galadriel doing the dodge on the horse from the arrow and slicing an orc up. That's so dumb. But I was kind of there for the laugh. I kind of liked it in that regard. So I think an 8 is fair. That's the most I would give it. Can it be a 7? Yeah, I could. I'm teetering between a 7 and an 8. 8 at its best, just for the amount of fun that I had. But in terms of like the amount of stuff I didn't care about in the show, maybe a 7. Maybe a 7.
Okay. I was with you with the 8. I'm good with an 8. I'm good with an 8. Again, I wouldn't give it anything higher because I don't think they nailed the epicness, but I think a lot of the story works. The multiple threads work. The characters are enjoyable. The central mysteries were fun to try to unravel. And it brought us back to the world of Middle Earth. I thought they did a good job. It didn't feel like this is some other series. This is
not the Halo TV series.
Right. This felt like a continuation or a prelude to what we know and love already. So I think they did a good job. Shout out to the costume team too. Love.
Oh yeah, the
non-CGI orcs.
Non-CGI orcs, the aesthetics of the series. I mean, the money was apparent of how much spent on everything. The VFX team, Disney, for the love of God, hire the VFX team that did, or I guess Marvel Studios ex Disney. Hire these people for the love of God, because I was convinced with every scene they were in. Were they in front of green screens a lot? Sure they were, because ain't no way they filmed Numenor in some patch of land in New Zealand. That was a lot of green screen.
Yes.
But it was convincing, very convincing. And it was only used for scenes like that. You know, you didn't see a CGI orc. You didn't see a CGI Adar. They were costume, makeup, round of applause for them. They did a fantastic job for that.
Agreed. Well, geez. So that's it.
That's Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
8 episodes.
And I mean, they haven't told us a date yet. We're most likely looking at another year.
20
or two.
24?
Or two. Yeah, maybe 2024.
Or what?
Well, either 2023, but I'm thinking we probably see it at the top of 2024.
That's where I'm thinking. Yeah.
It'll be a while.
Pre-production just started.
Right.
In October, so
it will be a while, and this is a grand scale type show.
Right.
So it'll be a while, folks. Hopefully y'all are good. Maybe you'd like to read up on some of the expanded material. You know, that way
I might read it up too.
I might read up some too. Just ever so much.
Just a little bit. I'm not diving into the 10-foot pool.
Right, because I don't want to be mad. Being like, oh, they got that wrong. That's wrong.
Actually.
Exactly. So I don't want to dip my toes that deep. But I will dip my toes just a tad. Well, goodness, folks, yeah, if you movies, Hobbit films too, catch up, man. It's good stuff. We love Lord of the Rings here. Great show.
Maybe not the Hobbit. Maybe not the Hobbit film.
Understand you need to watch the Hobbit, but put your bar real low.
Put it real low, because it ain't no Lord of the Rings trilogy.
It is a product of its time. It's like 2010s. Everything needs to be CGI and 3D. So
right.
Product of its time. But listen, folks, if you like what we had to say about Lord of the Rings of Power, be sure to follow us on all social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We got things popping on there. Be sure to check that out as well. Twitch, we on Twitch every so often. Dr. Jason Attorney doing big things on Twitch. So be sure to check us out. But thank you again for listening on your various podcast stations, If you ever want to see our faces, check us out on YouTube as well. But without further ado, folks, that's us here at the Yonko table. I am Grandmaster Hoop, fellow Yonko, Dr. J Saturni. We're going to close it off. You want to sing that song?
Oh God, I don't know the words. Hang on. Rings of Power lyrics. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Hold on.
They hate us.
What? Oh my God. Where is it? Okay, no. I got it. I think this is it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Wait. You want just me to sing it?
You start it because I got to
Okay.
pull it up. I'll follow.
Okay. Three rings for the Elven Kings under the sky.
Seven for the dwarf lords
in their
their
halls
halls
of
of
stone.
stone.
Nine
Nine
more
mortal men
doomed to
die.
die. One
For the Dark Lord
on his dark
dark.
throne.
Oh, this is terrible.
Chills. I have goosebumps.
Oh no. Cut it.
There's more. I ain't doing the rest.
We ain't doing the rest. Listen, folks, we catch y'all next time. Okay, we out of here.